Russia ready to launch new Tu-160M bomber next month. Dubbed White Swan, brings strategic missile. A completely new Tupolev Tu-160M strategic missile-carrying bomber, nicknamed the White Swan by Russian military pilots, will make its debut along the runway of the Kazan Aviation Enterprise in December, a source in the domestic aircraft manufacturing industry told TASS on Monday. The aircraft in the hangar are readymade and refueled. Before the end of this year, the Tu-160M will definitely glide along the runway. The flight is not planned, the source was quoted as saying November 29. The new strategic missile bomber has a flexible test date, depending on which management will attend the event. Separately, United Aircraft Corporation chief Yuri Slyaser said on July 30, the Tupolev Aircraft Company was working on assembling a completely new Tu-160M bomber, built from scratch. He also said the Tupolev Aircraft Company was finishing work on producing a second plane, rebuilt from the old Tu-160 bomber. The Tu-160 was a Soviet and Russian supersonic variable-wing strategic missile-carrying bomber. Together with the Tu-95MS bomber, it is the mainstay of the Russian Air Force's long-range aviation. The Tu-160M is designed to strike enemy targets in remote areas with nuclear and conventional weapons. The Tu-160M is the heaviest supersonic military aircraft in the world to date. Reportedly in 2015, Russian officials made the decision to resume production of an upgraded version of the Tu-160 bomber. In early November 2020, the upgraded Tu-160M strategic missile-carrying bomber with the new engine NK-3202 made its debut flight from the Kazan Aviation Enterprise aerodrome. As the United Aircraft Corporation reports, during the bomber's flight, specialists tested the general aircraft systems and onboard radio electronic equipment installed in the upgrade framework and checked the operation of the new NK-3202 engine. In 2020, the Tu-160M bomber was listed among the most significant military aircraft achievements in the world by the United States-based magazine Aviation Week in Space Technology. Tupolev Tu-160. The Tupolev Tu-160 Russian C-52, C-160, 5K9 5154L, Romanized. Belaj Lieb, lit. White Swan NATO reporting name. Blackjack is a supersonic variable sweep-wing heavy strategic bomber designed by the Tupolev Design Bureau in the Soviet Union in the 1970s. It is the largest and heaviest Mach 2 plus supersonic military aircraft ever built and second to the experimental XB-70 Valkyrie in overall length and top speed. As of 2022, it is the largest and heaviest combat aircraft, the fastest bomber in use, and the largest and heaviest variable sweep-wing airplane ever flown. Entering service in 1987, the Tu-160 was the last strategic bomber designed for the Soviet Union. Following the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the newly independent Ukraine inherited a fleet of 19 Tu-160s, over half of all aircraft in existence at that time. Following protracted negotiations, 11 Ukrainian Tu-160s were purchased by the Russian Federation, while the remainder were scrapped in the late 1990s under the Nunn-Lugar Cooperative Threat Reduction Agreement. Following these actions, the sole operator of the type is the Russian Air Force's long-range aviation branch, which had 16 Tu-160s in service by 2016. The type had its combat debut in November 2015 during the Russian military intervention in the Syrian civil war, conducting numerous airstrikes using Kh-101 air-launched cruise missiles. Various overseas deployments have been conducted, including to distant nations such as Venezuela and South Africa. Origins Tupolev Tu-160. The first competition for a supersonic strategic heavy bomber was launched in the Soviet Union in 1967. In 1972, the Soviet Union launched a new multi-mission bomber competition to create a new supersonic variable geometry heavy bomber with a maximum speed of Mach 2.3 in response to the US Air Force B-1 bomber project. The Tupolev design, named Aircraft 160M, with a lengthened blended wing layout and incorporating some elements of the Tu-144, competed against a Myasishchev M18 and the Sukhoi T-4 designs. Work on the new Soviet bomber continued despite an end to the B-1A, And in the same year, the design was accepted by the government committee. The prototype was photographed by an airline passenger at a Zhukovsky airfield in November 1981, about a month before the aircraft's first flight on 18 December 1981. Production was authorized in 1984, beginning at the Kazan Aircraft Production Association, (KAPO). Modernization Tu-160s. In 2002, the Russian Defense Ministry and KAPO agreed to modernize all 15 Tu-160s. In July 2006, the first overhauled and partially modernized aircraft was accepted into Russian service after testing. It reportedly received the capability to use conventional weapons, but was not upgraded with new avionics as previously planned. The first modernized aircraft capable of carrying the new long-range Kh-555 conventional cruise missile was delivered to the Russian Air Force in April 2008. A follow-up contract for the modernization of 3 more aircraft is estimated to cost $3.4 billion. The modernization appeared to be split into 2 phases, first concentrating on life extension, with some initial communication navigation updates, followed by engine upgrades. After 2016. In November 2014, a Tu-160 upgraded with new radar and avionics performed its first flight. The aircraft was delivered to the Russian Air Force as the Tu-160M model in December 2014. The Phase 1 update was due to be completed by 2016, but industrial limitations may delay it to 2019 or beyond. Although Kuznetsov designed an NK-32M engine with improved reliability over the NK-32 engines, its successor company has struggled to deliver working units. Medalist Samara JSC had not produced new engines for a decade when it was given a contract in 2011 to overhaul 26 of the existing engines. 2 years later, only 4 had been finished. On 2 February 2020, the modernized Tu-160M performed its first test flight at the airfield of the Kazan Aviation Plant, named for Igor Gorganov. Deliveries started later that year. 5 aircraft were equipped with the new engines by August 2022.